And they were discussing the timing of sending U.S. air crews into enemy airspace where they faced an air defense threat, correct?
I'm going to, Senator, defer to the other principles that you're referring to about what the meaning and the context of
They're
what they
talking
were
about the
auditing.
timing of U.S. airstrikes, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and therefore the timing of sending U.S. air crews into hostile airspace, correct?
Yes.
And therefore the time period during which enemy air defenses could target U.S. air crews flying in enemy airspace, correct?
I don't know that.
You do know that. Director Radcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
American pilots were flying into enemy airspace, and the timing of those flights, the exact window when enemy air defenses could lock on and shoot them down, was being discussed on a Signal group chat that a journalist had been accidentally added to. Senator John Ossoff walked into that hearing and forced the CIA director to admit it step by step. Yes, the vice president was on the chat. Yes, the Secretary of Defense was on the chat. Yes, a national political reporter was on the chat. Yes, foreign intelligence services would have been extremely interested in everything being discussed. And then Ossoff asked the simplest question of all. Was this a huge mistake? The CIA director said no. The full story is worse than you think.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for joining us and for your service. Just to make sure I understand some of the basics here, so Director Radcliffe, you were a member of the Houthi PC small group signal chain, correct?
I was.
Yeah, and so were the Vice President, the Secretaries of State and Defense, the National Security Advisor, and Ms. Gabbard, correct?
I believe so. I don't have a list of who was invited to be on.
And so was National Political Reporter Jeffrey Goldberg, correct?
I don't know that.
Yes, you do.
I don't know Jeffrey Goldberg, and I've already testified. I don't know whether or how he was added.
Okay, well, he was a member of the signal chain, and the discussion included the Vice President's private opinion on the wisdom of proposed U.S. strikes in Yemen, correct?
I don't recall.
Vance, quote, I think we are making a mistake. I am not sure the president is aware of how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There was a strong argument for delaying this a month. You don't recall?
I don't, as you
don't recall seeing that?
read that, I don't.
It included the private opinions of the Secretary of Defense on the timing of strikes in Yemen, correct?
I don't recall.
Director Radcliffe, surely you prepared for this hearing today. You were part of a group of principals, senior echelons of the U.S. government, in now a widely publicized breach of sensitive information. You don't recall whether the Vice President opined on the wisdom of the strikes? That's your testimony today under oath?
In that setting, I don't recall.
Here's what Secretary Hegseth said, quote, waiting a few weeks or months does not fundamentally change the calculus. Two immediate risks on waiting. One, this leaks and we look indecisive. Two, Israel takes an action first or Gaza ceasefire falls apart and we don't get to start this on our own terms. Your testimony is you don't recall the Secretary of Defense sending that message or reading it?
I recall there being an exchange. I don't recall the specifics as you're reading it.
Well, let's put it this way, Director Radcliffe, a discussion by senior U.S. officials on the timing and risks of a proposed military campaign and disagreements between the president and the vice president about U.S. plans and intentions would be of obvious interest to foreign intelligence services, would it not?
Yes.
And they were discussing the timing of sending U.S. air crews into enemy airspace where they faced an air defense threat, correct?
I'm going to, Senator, defer to the other principles that you're referring to about what the meaning and the context of what they were auditing.
They're talking about the timing of U.S. airstrikes, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and therefore the timing of sending U.S. air crews into hostile airspace, correct?
Yes.
And therefore the time period during which enemy air defenses could target U.S. air crews flying in enemy airspace, correct?
I don't know that.
You do know that. Let me ask this question, General Hawk. You lead America's signals intelligence collection. Would the private deliberation of foreign senior officials about the wisdom and timing of potential military action be a collection priority for you and the U.S. intelligence community?
Senator, it's our job to do indications and warning for both the plans and intentions of adversary leaders and for military commanders.
And would not information about the timing of airstrikes allow a military to pre-position or cue air defense systems to shoot down enemy aircraft?
I think, Senator, from our perspective, any advance warning is something that we certainly are trying to protect.
Yeah. Director Radcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
A national political...
Hold on.
No, you
Let me
hold
answer.
on. No, Director Radcliffe, I asked you a yes or no question, and now you hold on. A national political reporter
You can characterize it how you want.
was made privy
The White
to
House has
sensitive
made
information
clear
about
that there
imminent
was an
military
inadvertent
operations against a
mistake,
foreign terrorist
An inadvertent
organization.
mistake of adding a reporter.
And that wasn't a huge
to a
mistake?
deal.
That wasn't a huge mistake?
Well, I think they characterized
This is
it
an
as a
embarrassment.
mistake.
This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error. And by the way, we will get the full transcript of this chain, and your testimony will be measured carefully against its content. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the witnesses again.
Senator John Ossoff sat across from CIA Director John Ratcliffe and methodically walked him into a corner from which there was no escape. He started with the basics. He asked Ratcliffe to confirm the membership of the Houthi PC small group, the signal chat that had now become one of the most embarrassing national security breaches in recent American history. Ratcliffe confirmed he was on it. The Vice President was on it, the Secretaries of State and Defense, the National Security Advisor, Tulsi Gabbard. And then Ossoff asked about one more name, Jeffrey Goldberg, national political reporter for The Atlantic. Ratcliffe said he did not know whether or how Goldberg had been added to the chat. Ossoff looked at him and said, "Yes, you do." Ratcliffe held his position. He said he did not know Jeffrey Goldberg and could not speak to how he ended up in the group. Ossoff moved forward. He began reading directly from the chat messages that had already been made public. Vice President J.D. Vance had written, "I think we are making a mistake. I am not sure the president is aware of how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There was a strong argument for delaying this a month." He asked Ratcliffe if he recalled seeing that message. Ratcliffe said he did not recall. Ossoff pointed out that Ratcliffe had presumably prepared for this hearing, that this was now a widely publicized breach of sensitive government information, that Ratcliffe himself had been part of the group, and his testimony under oath was that he did not recall whether the Vice President of the United States had expressed reservations about the wisdom of the strikes being planned. Ratcliffe said he did not recall. Ossoff read another message, this one from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, writing that waiting a few weeks or months would not fundamentally change the calculus, but that two immediate risks of waiting were that the operation could leak, making the administration look indecisive, or that Israel could act first and take the decision out of American hands. Did Ratcliffe recall reading that? He recalled there being an exchange, not the specifics. Ossoff shifted his approach. He stopped asking about specific messages and started asking about consequences. He asked Ratcliffe directly, would discussion by senior U.S. officials about the timing and risks of a proposed military campaign and disagreements between the President and Vice President about American plans be of obvious interest to foreign intelligence services? Ratcliffe said yes. Ossoff confirmed that the chat included discussion about the timing of sending American air crews into enemy airspace where they faced an active air defense threat. Ratcliffe agreed. And therefore, Ossoff said, the chat included information about the specific time period during which enemy air defense systems could target and shoot down American pilots flying in hostile airspace. Ratcliffe said he did not know that. Ossoff told him, "You do know that." He then turned to General Timothy Haw, the head of America's Signals Intelligence Collection, and asked whether the private deliberations of foreign senior officials about the wisdom and timing of potential military action would be a collection priority for American intelligence. General Haw confirmed that tracking the plans and intentions of adversary leaders and providing warning to military commanders was exactly their job, and that any advance warning reaching an enemy would be something American intelligence actively worked to prevent. Ossoff turned back to Radcliffe. "Director Radcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?" Radcliffe said no. Ossoff did not let it go. He pressed again. A national political reporter was made privy to sensitive information about imminent military operations against a foreign terrorist organization, the timing of strikes, the deliberations of the vice president, the window during which American pilots were exposed in enemy airspace, and Radcliffe's position was that accidentally including a journalist in that conversation was not a huge mistake. Radcliffe called it an embarrassment. Ossoff called it utterly unprofessional. He said there had been no apology, no recognition of the gravity of the error, and then he delivered a final warning that the committee would obtain the full transcript of the signal chain and that Radcliffe's testimony that day would be measured carefully against its contents. Step by step, message by message, confirmation by confirmation, Ossoff had walked the CIA director through exactly what happened and exactly what it meant. American pilots in enemy airspace, their exposure window potentially visible to anyone reading that chat, a journalist who should never have been there, and an intelligence chief who could not remember any of it. The full transcript is coming, and when it does, every non-answer given in that room will be on the record.